Hi, my name is Linda, and I'm going to teach you a restorative yoga practice. So what is restorative yoga? Restorative yoga is a very soft form of yoga where we use props such as these, bolsters, blankets, blocks, straps, anything that you need to use to be able to support yourself from the floor up. So the idea behind the practice is that we go into a pose by propping up the floor to meet your body so that you'll be able to completely relax into the posture. So I've been practicing Ashtanga yoga for the last 20 years, and Ashtanga yoga is a very dynamic form of yoga, which is also very amazing. But there can be those days when you're tired, maybe you have an injury, maybe you're not sleeping well, many reasons that the Ashtanga practice just isn't feeling right for that day. And so when it's not feeling right, to do kind of a watered down Ashtanga sometimes isn't feeling like the right thing. It's really just completely letting go that we need to practice this. So I've been also experimenting with the restorative practice, and I love it. But if you've been coming into the practice from Ashtanga, we're used to feeling sensation. In the restorative practice, we're not looking to feel sensation. We're not looking to have deep stretches anywhere in the body. We're really looking to find a place of comfort. And the place of comfort where you can sit and stay and feel calm. Personally, in my own restorative practice, I like to either use a meditation prop so that when I'm in the pose, I bring myself into my meditation prop, and my personal meditation is on the heart center, and so I'll lie there in the pose and I'll focus on the heart center and calm myself and try to keep my thoughts from going outwards, and I try to bring them inwards. The other thing that I like to do sometimes is put on some inspirational talks by teachers that I find very inspirational, like Jack Kornfield or Pema Chodron or Ram Dass, and I listen to them. And I feel like when I'm in a restoring pose that I can be completely present and I can really get the teachings of these philosophies of yoga. So that's what restorative yoga is to me. So now we're going to start a practice. So we're going to start our restorative practice with first just sitting calmly and trying to calm our mind and connect with our breath. So I think for most people it's more comfortable if you sit on something rather than sitting directly on your yoga mat. So you can use something like these cork blocks and a blanket. Personally, I don't like to sit directly on the cork block because I find that the pressure with my sitting bones on the cork block will often make my legs fall asleep. Whereas if I have a blanket on top, then it softens it and I don't have that problem. I can sit for long periods of time like this. So we just put the block, we put a blanket, and we want to feel like both our sitting bones are on the block and our knees should be at least the level of the hips or lower to be able to find comfort in that position. We want to be able to have a natural lumbar curve. So if I'm sitting and I'm sunk down like this, for instance, then over time it's not going to feel very good on the back. So you want to have your pelvis sitting up straight, the knees lower than the hips. If it's painful, you could also put your feet forward and sit something like this. Okay, so I'm going to come back into my position that I like, which is like this. And putting the hands on the knees to start with. And then close your eyes and start to bring yourself inwards. Feel like you're lengthening your spine, right from the tailbone all the way up through the neck and through the crown of the head. Relax the shoulders. Relaxing the jaw. Relaxing around the mouth. Relaxing the tongue. Relaxing the insides of the cheeks. So the teeth are slightly apart, but the lips are together. Relaxing over the nose and the cheeks. Relaxing around the eyes. Behind the eyes. Just allowing the inner gaze to go downwards towards the nose, so you don't feel like the eyes are flickering around. Relaxing the forehead and the point between the eyebrows. Start to bring your awareness to your breath. Not necessarily changing the breath, just allowing it to be natural. Just noticing its natural rhythm. And then you're going to bring the hands in front of the chest, the heart center. And we're going to chant Om 3 times to begin. And placing the hands on the knees. And then slowly opening the eyes, and we'll prepare ourselves for the first pose. So the first pose we're going to do is in Ashtanga. It's called Janu Shirshasana A. So we take 1 or 2 bolsters as we need. Remember, the point behind the practice is to build up the surface up towards your body rather than bringing your body down to the surface. So I'm not going to do the pose here. This is going to put added stress into the back and the back of the leg. Instead, what I want to do is be able to find this place where I can completely let go in the pose. So not going into my full flexibility is going to allow me to do this. So I take a bolster and I put it in front of me. We're going to bring the right foot on the inside of the left thigh, and then just lift the sitting bones and let the sitting bones fall down naturally. Allow the left leg to completely relax. So we're not trying to flex the foot or strengthen that leg in any way. We're just letting it be how it needs to be, whatever feels natural. Then I'm going to set the bolster in front of that leg and I'm going to pull it in close to me. So we're trying to fill in all this space here. So we might even need to take a blanket and place it on the bolster and fill in that little bit of space between myself and the bolster. Okay? Sometimes people will need a second bolster, and this is no problem. You do what you need to do. Then I can lie forward and I can place my hands in whatever way is comfortable for you. For me, I find placing my hands a little bit under the bolster on this side and just letting my hand kind of flop down on the other side with the palm up. I find this comfortable because I can then allow my elbows to go into the floor so that the floor is taking the weight of my arms. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, you find something else. Same with where the head is going to place onto the bolster. Can lie like this, or if it feels like there's some stress on the neck, you can build it up. Okay? You need to make yourself comfortable in the way that feels fit for you. So this is a home practice. It's a self practice. It's your practice. Okay? It has nothing to do with what is right or wrong. So I'm going to time it, and we're going to stay into these poses 2 minutes on either side. So you can take your phone or a timer of any sort and time it for yourself. We're going to start with 2 minutes, but as you practice, you might be able to increase that a little bit. Okay? So, I'm going to start 2 minutes. You can scan your body as you're there and check that you're relaxing the back body, checking that you're relaxing the arms, relaxing that left leg that's straightened out, relaxing the face, the jaw, around the mouth. And then tuning into the breath, just noticing the breath, not trying to change it, not trying to do any kind of specific breathing, just normal, natural breath. And then resting still and quiet. So now we're going to change legs. So we come out of the pose. And we switch our legs. Actually, in between, sometimes it can be helpful just to lean back and shake the legs out a little bit. And this time we're going to place the left foot on the inside of the right leg and take our bolster, pull it in towards us. Oops. Like that again. You can take your blanket, fill in that space between yourself and your bolster. Make sure that your straight leg is completely relaxing there, and then find a place where you can allow your arms to relax. So if your elbows are up high, for instance, it's a little better to put something under the elbows so that your trapezies and the upper arms can completely relax into the pose. So then we put our hands up, and then we can lie down. Make sure you turn the face to the opposite side than you did on the first side. So on the first side, I was facing the opposite direction of my straight leg. So this time I'm going to face the other way. And I'm going to set my timer so that I know that I'm doing the same amount on both sides. And we begin. You can scan your body yourself, noticing if there's anywhere that you're holding some tension. And when you feel that tension, just breathe into that area and see if you can completely release it. Okay. Minutes. So now we're going to release ourselves out of that pose, putting aside the props for the moment. You can straighten both legs out, lean back into your hands, lift the sitting bones, and just shake it out a little bit. So we're going to do the next pose, which is a back bending position. So we need to take our two bolsters and we're going to make a T shape with the bolsters. So you bring the first one across the mat about, I'd say, like 1/3 down the length of your mat, and then you're going to bring the second bolster crossing the first one. Just like that. You might want to have a blanket or a small block to put under the head at the top. So just place it close by just in case you need to use this. And you sit up on the lower bolster, and then you're going to lean back and bring your lower back onto the bolster. Your soles of the feet on the floor, and you can let the knees fall in towards one another. So the thing you have to make sure of here is when I lie back, I do not want my head hanging like this, okay, with my shoulders off the floor, okay? I need to wiggle, 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 keep wiggling back until my shoulders are supported by the floor or your blanket if you have a blanket here, okay? Don't hesitate to take time to find the comfortable position for yourself. You can take your blanket and kind of wrap it under so that you have a little roll under your neck and wiggle a little more. My shoulders are still off the floor. And until now there's no space here. Okay? So you can see it takes some time to find the comfortable place. And that feels like it's it. Okay, so my shoulders are on the floor. My neck is not hanging backwards. Okay. Then I can decide to place my arms as I like. I could make like this cactus shape. I can take my elbows, bring them over the head, or I can leave them on my belly. Okay, the knees are together, the feet are separated, and in a place where I can completely relax my legs. Okay, so then I need to find my phone up. So I'm going to time it. And now I'm going to do it a little bit longer this time. We're going to try to stay 3 minutes. If this does not feel comfortable for any reason, you should not stay there. Okay, especially for the neck and the upper back. So you just come out. So I'm going to start the 3 minutes, and I like to have my arms over the head. So I'm going to take my elbows and bring them over the head. If you have an eye bag, you can place that over your eyes, or just keep them closed. Tuning back in with the breath. Noticing the rhythm of the breath. Noticing if there's places in the body that are still holding on. Places that are resisting, allowing the floor, the bolsters to support you. Just trying to release completely into the pose. Especially checking those places that you habitually hold tension. Whether it's the lower back, the jaw. Very often we find ourselves clenching at the jaw, around the mouth, maybe between the eyebrows. Seeing if you can release all the tension. And then rest still and quiet. If you feel like you want to stay longer, you can always pause the video and stay a little longer. If that feels like enough for you, then you can roll over to one side. Okay? Don't be afraid if sometimes it feels like it's a little hard to get out of the poses. This can be natural. You place your upper hand down, press into the hand, and then come back up to a sitting pose. Okay. So we're going to remove all the props, getting prepared for the next pose. So the next pose we're going to do is a twisting pose. So we take one bolster and we place it lengthwise on our yoga mat. And then we're going to come and sit on our knees, the end of our bolster, and then shift so the hips are on the opposite side of your heels. So I shift and I'm sitting something like that. Okay, so it should be a comfortable position. So the knees can separate, they can do whatever they need to do, in fact. And actually, if you're finding that one knee is hanging up in the air, it can be nice to just take a blanket and support that knee. Something like that. Okay, so I'll keep it there just to remind you. And then pull the bolster in close so that there's no space or very little space between you and the bolster. And you could always put 2 bolsters or some cushions from your sofa, whatever you need. It doesn't have to be yoga props particularly. Then we just start to lean forward, placing our hands down. You can shift the sitting bones as they need to shift. And then we place our face down. I like again to have my palms upwards, and we completely relax here. Okay, so we're going to do 2 sides. So we're going to start with this side, and we'll stay there for 2 minutes before we change to the other side. If you feel like your neck isn't comfortable, you're also welcome to take another blanket and place it under the head, something like that. Again, you're going to have to experiment with it, and after you've tried the pose a few times, you're going to find the position that is most comfortable for you. Okay, we don't want to feel like there's any stress in the pose. So I'm going to start the timer. Check that you're allowing the weight of the arms to go into the floor. The shoulders, the neck, the upper back, these are areas that we often hold a lot of tension in. And so even when we're trying to do a relaxing pose, very often they're still holding on, those muscles. So see if you can bring your awareness to those areas. Allow the weight to fall into the forearms so that the floor is supporting you. Closing the eyes. Bringing your awareness back to your breath. And it's true, it can be hard to keep the awareness on one point. But we don't want this to become something stressful. So if your mind is wandering off, don't worry about it. Just that when you notice that it's wandering, just bring it back. Don't judge yourself. Don't think that you're doing something wrong or that you're not good at this. It's very, very natural. The mind wanders. So when it wanders, bring it back. Notice your breathing. When it wanders again, bring it back. Notice your breathing. minutes. Once again, we're going to switch sides. And I just want to keep reminding you that if you feel like you've found a very comfortable place and you don't want to come out of the pose, stay there. Just pause the video and stay a little longer. I'm keeping it short so that it's accessible for everybody. But if you've been practicing yoga for some time, then you're going to be more comfortable in your body. And you're going to be more comfortable to stay in these poses for 5, 10, even 15 minutes. Okay? So I'm going to remove my props. And then I'm going to turn and sit on the other side, sitting at the end of my yoga bolster. And I can put my blanket under the knee again. And I can put another blanket to support my head. But once again, this might not be necessary for everybody. Okay? You decide what is right for you. And then I lie down. You can shift around a little bit until you find the place that is comfortable for you, and then close your eyes and bring your awareness back to your breath and settle into the pose. I'm going to start the 2 minutes. So that's our 2 minutes. Going to release from the pose. Try to not move too quickly. Moving with awareness, feeling calm as you move. Turn to the other way. So I remove all my props. So I'm going to keep one bolster here. The next one we're going to do is, the next pose we're going to do is called child's pose. So we sit on our heels like this. Toes are together, so 2 toes are touching. We separate the knees and then we bring the bolster in between the knees. So sometimes there's a few things that can happen. Sometimes the pressure of the top of the foot onto the hard surface of the floor can irritate people's feet or ankles. So if this is the case for you, you just take a blanket, and here I'm going to do it so that you can see. take a blanket and you place it at the end of your bolster. Make sure there's no bumps so it's smooth, and then you can sit on the blanket. Okay, so that's going to feel more comfortable for the ankles. And even sometimes if someone's knees are sore, they might need to even sit up on 1 or 2 blankets, something like that. Okay, so I'm not going to stay like that, but if that's what you need, you do it. Then you bring a bolster in front, and again, we might need to prop up that bolster. So you can take one of these blocks, put it at an angle, and then place your bolster on top. So that the idea is the bolster is coming towards you instead of you going towards the bolster and feeling like it's just a little too stressful to stay in the pose. For the knees, for the lower back, for the buttock area, whatever area it is for you. Now, you could also take a blanket, hold it nicely, and fill in that area between yourself and the bolster. And then leaning forward, turning the face to one side or the other, placing the hands down, and relaxing something like this. Okay, there's a couple of different variations, so I'd like to show a few. So without the block, for instance, so if you're on the more flexible side, then it could also be something like this. If you need, you can also put a second bolster. Right? In that case, see, my elbows don't touch the floor, so I would be more inclined to put my hands between the 2 bolsters, let my elbows be supported on my legs, and then fold forward. Okay, so experiment with a couple different positions. Find the position that feels most comfortable for you. For me, I like 1 bolster, and I like to put my hands kind of under the bolster so my elbows are supported. I can relax my upper back, my neck, where being on the computer too much can give me some tension. So, again, we're going to hold it just for 2 minutes, but you can hold it longer. In my own personal practice, I hold it at least 15, just to give you an idea, okay? But we might need to work up into that. So, place the hands under, turn the face one direction, relax the shoulders, relax the weight into the elbows and the forearms. Take a few deep breaths to bring yourself back to the breath. And letting the breath be natural. Slowly melting all the muscles, melting them into the bolster, into the floor. And just resting still and quiet. And then you're going to slowly lift your head and turn the face to the opposite side. And we're going to use the timer to hold it for 2 minutes facing the opposite direction. So don't change anything else unless you really need to. Otherwise, you just lift the head and turn and relax into the second side. So then we're slowly going to come out of this pose, placing the hands down, coming back up to a sitting position, removing the bolster. You can come to sit on one side of the heels, stretching out the legs, leaning back into the hands and just relaxing, shaking out the legs. So our final pose is Shavasana, so it's final relaxation. So I'm going to hold the pose for 5 minutes, but I really suggest you take longer. You know, if you have the time, I would stay there 15, even 20 minutes. Okay? I think it's quite nice for the final pose to have some sort of either an eye bag or a small towel like this that you can just fold up and place over the eyes so that you can relax fully. So just have that aside so that you can get it easily. And you can take one of your bolsters, place it about 1/3 the way down from the end of your mat, and you're going to place it under your knees. So the knees have to be supported with the bolsters. The heels have to touch the floor. You don't want to have your foot suspended in air like this, okay? It needs to be able to relax onto the floor. And I also suggest that you take a blanket and you cover yourself. So the sun is setting, so I need a little bit of cover. So I take my blanket and I want to cover my feet. Even I like to tuck it under my feet a little bit. Oops. And I lie back. Place the back of the head on the floor. If you find that your chin is lifting when you lie on the floor, then you need to either try to tuck it under or place a blanket under your head. And then you're going to bring your shoulder blades down the back so that you'll be able to stretch your arms out alongside your body. Take your eye pillow or your little towel, place it over the eyes. I'm going to start the timer, but if you have nowhere to go, I suggest you pause this video and stay as long as you can. Have the backs of the hands on the floor. The palms are facing upwards. And then scanning the body, checking that the feet are relaxed. The heels feel heavy into the floor. Just letting the toes hang out to the sides. So the feet feel completely relaxed. Relaxing the knees. Just letting your bolster support the knees. Relaxing the legs. Doing any small adjustments you need to do. Relaxing around the pelvis. Allowing the pelvis to feel heavy. Relaxing the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, all the way up the neck and to the back of the head. Relaxing the belly and the chest, just allowing the breath to be natural. And then checking the shoulders, making sure there's no tension in the shoulders. Relaxing the arms, allowing the weight of the arms to be supported by the floor. Relaxing the fingers so that the whole body feels completely relaxed. Relaxing the jaw, around the mouth, over the nose and the cheeks. Relaxing the eyes, all around the eyes. Behind the eyes. Relaxing the forehead, and the point between the eyebrows. Relaxing the mind. If thoughts pass through the mind, just let them pass through. Trying not to hold on to them or elaborate on the thoughts. Just allowing them to come and allowing them to go. And then resting still and quiet. can slowly awaken your body. Just taking your time. Just moving the feet, moving the hands. And stretch the arms, stretch the legs. And stretch the arms over the head. Then bring your left arm over the ear. Turning to the left side. Using the arm as a pillow. Pressing into your right hand. And coming up to a sitting position. You can remove your blanket. Bring the hands in front of the chest, closing the eyes. And we'll chant Om to finish. Om. Namaste. Thank you. And I hope you feel relaxed. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.